So how do you take something like a simple C major scale and make it sound more like a jazz bebop line, maybe something like this? Well, a few things you need to practice. First thing might be the bebop scale, and the second thing might be the enclosures. After that, it's just like a language. You gotta listen, you gotta transcribe, and get all of those chops into your fingers and ears. Well, the first bebop scale is what I like to teach, calling it root goes to the 5 goes to the root. Meaning that I'm gonna have one chromatic note from the 6 to the 5, so we get this. Root goes to the 5. So that was a chromatic note. So we had root goes to the 5 goes to the root. So we had root 7 6 chromatic note, which is a flat 6, into a 5. That way our chord tones are landing on strong beats. Root goes to the 5 and again goes to the root, always landing on strong beats with the root and the 5. Let's practice that. Root goes to the 5 goes to the root goes to chromatic 5 goes to the root. Let's practice that going up. Root goes to the 5 goes to the root goes to the 5 goes to the root. Okay, so you can practice that also from the third, as well as practicing that in other tonalities other than C. So let's say you're playing your bebop scale, but you want to aim into the third now, right? So you can do something like this. So you see these two notes approaching the third, so we get this. This is more what I call approach tones. I'll show you what an actual enclosure is in a second. But this way, listen now, that's starting to sound like a bebop phrase. And I can see my first inversion C over here, and I can create that phrase with it. Root goes to the 5 goes to the third. Now let's say I'm not starting from my root, I want to start from my 5 and I want to go to my roots. Well, maybe I can also utilize the same thing. 5 goes to the third, and then I can just play a chromatic approach all the way to my root. Third goes to the root. Third chromatic note goes to the root. And I get this. Again, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4. So you can see I'm landing on strong beats. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now I can complete it by going from this root to this 5, just like I did it from here. So this is essentially what is more looked upon as the bebop scale approach, when the 6 is going to the 5, right? So we can do that, we just practice that, right? And then from the 5 to the root will be just playing the scale. So, or, right? All of these stuff are things you can start practicing in, also in minor chords. Let's take D minor for example, and I want to take this triad and start implementing these enclosures and approaches. The perfect enclosure is kind of like a cage surrounding that note. So let's say I'm in D minor, right? And I want to take that third and I want to play it in my solo. Well, a thing I can do to make it sound more jazzy, more bebop, is enclosure that note. For example, take that third and approach it with this type of enclosure. Third. So that was the cage going to the third and 1 E and a 2. So you see I'm landing on a strong beat. Another thing I can do is, let's say I'm going to the 5, I can do 5, 5. So let me show you a few different approaches now combined. I can do, here's D minor, and I can go a good way to practice it is counting 1 and 2 and 3. 1 and 2 and 3, or 1 E and a. 1 E and a 2, I prefer 1 E and a. 1 E and a 2 A and a 3 E and a 1. So I aim to land on a non-chord tone right here. That was the 2. So that's more advanced. But you can start, once you can aim into chord tones, then you can start aiming into other stuff, like maybe the 2, right? Another thing that is happening a lot in bebop is that there's kind of like a compensation of whenever you have these strong movements, such as chromatics, scale movements, enclosures, there's kind of like this compensation of a bigger leap, like an arpeggio, something like that, for example. So you see this is a bigger kind of arpeggiated sound. So you can start doing those three things, practicing your bebop kind of scales movement, starting surrounding nodes with things such as chromatic approaches, enclosures, and also kind of like compensating your phrases and balancing them out using arpeggios. So hopefully this was helpful. If you want to be able to see all those triads, arpeggios, chords, scales with tabs, notation, 95 examples, everything you need is really organized in 15 modules. So you're welcome to access my Galactic Modern Guitar series in the description of this video to really go way deeper. And anyway, please like this video, subscribe, support this channel by sharing this video, commenting. I'll see you in the next video. New video every week, so stay tuned.